homeless boy discovers he's a millionaire's son after finding a wallet in the trash. Timmy is a homeless kid who lived under a bridge with his mother. He noticed there was a new trash bin nearby. He started rummaging through it, hoping to find some food scraps for his dinner that night. As he went through the trash, Timmy came across a wallet. It was made out of soft leather and it looked like it was still in good condition. But when Timmy opened the wallet, he was shocked to find his own picture inside. Timmy's thoughts raced as he tried to make sense of the discovery. It was all too good to be true. Who knew that this wallet would find itself in his hands? Could it be owned by his father? He quickly put the wallet in his pocket, making sure that it would be safe. Timmy had no idea where to start the search for the wallet's owner, but he was determined. He believed this small stroke of luck would lead to a better future. It was dark now, so he could not study the contents of the wallet well. He had to wait until morning. Timmy woke up early, excited to examine the wallet. There was still some cash inside it, and he saw a business card. Timmy had no idea how far the address was on foot, so he decided to take a risk and use the money in his wallet to commute there. The address led him to a skyscraper in the center of town. Timmy entered the building and showed the receptionist the business card, telling her that he needs to see Mr. Smith. The receptionist took one look at him and said that Mr. Smith would not be interested. Timmy took out the wallet he found, opened it, then put it up to his face. The receptionist took one look at the photo inside the wallet and Timmy's face, then went pale. She then made a quick call. Minutes later, Mr. Smith came to the lobby asking her what was wrong. The receptionist pointed at Timmy, who was looking around the room with wide eyes in the waiting area. Mr. Smith looked at him, and Timmy saw there was a flash of recognition in his eyes. Mr. Smith grabbed his phone and called the police right away. When Timmy heard Mr. Smith calling the cops, he was terrified and confused. He had no idea why Mr. Smith did that. Did he go to the wrong person? Should he run? But this may be his only chance to get some answers, so he told himself to stay put no matter what. But the next thing that happened surprised Timmy. Instead of approaching him, Mr. Smith headed back to the elevators while talking on the phone. What was going on? Timmy was sure that Mr. Smith recognized him. It got him thinking about how he ended up here. It had been more than a year since Timmy and his mother, Grace, had lost their home. Grace was struggling to pay the bills and they had no relatives to turn to. Grace was too ashamed to ask her friends for help, and that's how they ended up on the streets. Timmy had always wondered about his father. He was someone he had never met. He also had no idea what his father looked like. Every time he would ask Grace about him, she would come up with an excuse not to talk about it. In reality, Timmy's father had no interest in being part of their lives. He was a wealthy businessman, and Timmy was just a result of a one-night stand. He had supported Grace financially when she was pregnant, but disappeared after Timmy was born. Grace didn't give up right away. She tried to battle Timmy's father in court for child support. She got a free lawyer from the state, but the other party had a good and smart team of lawyers that easily defeated them. Grace had to work 3 jobs to be able to pay the rent, bills, food, and save money for Timmy's school. She made sure she set aside some cash for Timmy's future, and she hid everything in a jar. It had been manageable until something unexpected happened. One night, Grace woke up when she heard strange noises coming from the living room. She got up to investigate, only to discover that their home had been broken into. The culprits were running out the door as soon as they heard her get out of the room. Grace immediately ran to the spot where she hid the jar filled with her savings for Timmy. She fell to her knees in despair when she saw the broken jar. The burglars took all the money for Timmy's future with them. What made things worse was that Grace knew the police wouldn't help her. They lived in a part of town that was controlled by criminal gangs. The cops in the area barely showed up for anything unless it was a huge deal. Once again, Grace was on her own. Grace never really liked to live in that neighborhood, but it was the cheapest place she could find. Thankfully, Timmy grew up to be a smart kid. He excelled in whatever he did, got a scholarship, and was even selected for a special program for gifted students. Grace was thrilled. She realized that they could get by even if they just had enough. What was important is that they had each other. But just as things were looking up for them, something happened that made Grace think she had nothing but bad luck. Grace was infected with a serious virus. After she was unable to go back to work for more than a month, her employers had no choice but to let her go. Without a job, the money she had left was drained out quickly because of her medication. Grace was unable to pay her rent, and after a month, she got the eviction notice. The landlord gave her a month to pack up and leave. She sold what she can and packed up the rest. Her plan was to live in her car temporarily until things got better. Grace drove to an abandoned bridge and set up her mobile home there. What was supposed to be a temporary plan became a permanent living arrangement for her and Timmy as she had difficulty finding work again. Grace was heartbroken, knowing that it was now impossible to give Timmy the good life she wanted for him. When Timmy found the wallet and showed it to her, Grace knew that this must be fate at work. She allowed him to go to the address. Timmy was still lost in his thoughts when the cops arrived. Timmy told them how he found the wallet and just wanted to know why Mr. Smith had his picture in his wallet. The cops listened patiently to his story and took down notes. After hearing Timmy's story, the cops wanted to see Mr. Smith for questioning. However, Mr. Smith refused to face them, upon the advice of his lawyer. The truth could easily ruin him. But what was so bad about the truth? What could Mr. Smith be hiding? As soon as Timmy left, Grace made her way to the police station to file charges against Mr. Jeremy Smith, who was the real father of Timmy. She knew that it was no coincidence Timmy found that wallet. Grace took it as a sign of fate. The cops escorted Timmy home. Grace then revealed the truth to her son when the cops left. Timmy was confused. If Mr. Smith was his father, why did he refuse to see or speak to him, yet carried a photo in his wallet? Grace assured him he'll understand soon. It didn't take long for Jeremy to hear about the charges Grace filed against him. He gathered his top lawyers, and he was confident he would win this round once more. After all, what could a homeless woman and a child do against a business tycoon like him? On the big day, Jeremy made sure he was dressed in his finest clothes. Meanwhile, Grace and Timmy showed up in their simple clothes. After seeing them, Jeremy gave a chuckle, confident that he had the upper hand. The session started with Grace accusing Jeremy of abandonment. Jeremy's lawyers argued that this matter had already been settled in a separate case years ago. Grace's accusations were dismissed, but she was allowed to speak one more time. The words Grace said shocked everyone in the courtroom. Jeremy's lawyers started to scramble, never expecting this. The judge sat back in disbelief. If what Grace revealed turned out to be true, it could change everything. Jeremy could end up in jail. Jeremy was shocked that Grace would reveal such a thing. His lawyers looked puzzled and seemed to not know what to say. In a panic, Jeremy denied the allegations and then rushed out of the courtroom. But what big secret had Grace revealed? Grace revealed that Timmy was not her only child with Jeremy. She gave birth to twins, and Timmy has a twin brother whom Jeremy decided to take away from her at birth. Grace had tried to get her other son back before but received serious threats from Jeremy. Later that day, the cops came to Jeremy's house with a search warrant, but when they got there, the place was emptied out. It was clear that Jeremy is on the run. They took it as a telltale sign that the allegations were true. A manhunt for the millionaire began. After a few days, they got a tip where Jeremy used his credit card at a gas station and a restaurant. The cops analyzed his route and determined that he was headed for the border. The cops were prepared to meet Jeremy there, and he was immediately cornered. The cops found that Jeremy was not alone in his car. Timmy's twin brother was in the back seat. He looked exactly like Timmy. Grace was telling the truth. As it turned out, the photo in Jeremy's wallet was not Timmy, but Chase, his twin brother. Jeremy and Chase were taken to the nearest police station. Jeremy was locked up in a cell while Chase was sent to a child care office where he could be cared for until someone could take him in. An arrangement was made so that Grace could look after her long-lost son. Jeremy was sentenced to 20 years in prison for abducting Chase. He was also required to pay a large amount of money to Grace for all the years that he didn't support her and Timmy. The money was huge enough for Grace to restart her life with her two sons. Despite being separated at birth and living different lives, Timmy and Chase got along well with each other and became best friends. Who knew that their life would turn around, all because Timmy was rummaging in the trash? It was definitely karma at work.